Welcome to a beautiful morning out here at the river house. An awful lot has gone on. You know, I can't keep up with filming everything, so these are more of an update rather than a how-to video. But look at all the studs, and not just this one. We have got lots and lots and lots of things accomplished, and it's been a hard bit of work. I gotta thank Mom and Dad and Danny and Shay and Dale coming up and helping out. It's just been great. So folks had asked about some details. So these are our double stud walls. It's two 2x4 cavities with an air gap in between, and I'm hoping to get, you know, R28 in the actual fields. Here on the outside we are using, this is the primary load-bearing wall. They do share an 8-inch upper sill, so they share the load, but the primary load is the external wall, and we are using an Idaho Forest Group fir stud. They're hard, and they carry a tremendous amount of weight. On the interior studs, we are using a Tokyo Riverside, I believe they're down near Everett, Washington, a whitewood stud, and they are much less prone to cracking, and they're much lighter, so easier for us to carry around. And I'm sure they would both carry the load, but it makes me feel good knowing I got fur on the outside, and these studs were just quite a bit straighter and smoother, and so that's what I'm going to attach my inside to. The Avantech subflooring, and I think the stuff has proven to be really, really hard and straight and flat. So I've been pretty impressed with that, and then you can't see it on the outside, but we've got the zip system sheeting on the outside there. We have a second floor now. God, this stuff is hard. See if I can get you a view. There's the zip on the outside. And I've been really impressed with that as well. It was really straight and attached, but this stuff is what super impresses me. Here is the beams we set. You'll see us doing that coming up here in a bit, and today we're gonna run the rest of these rafters, run them across the pantry over there. We're still missing a massive natural edge large beam that's going to go across there and span the great room, so we can't finish that, but we're going to get all this done today. And then this will be Shay's room, and I've got a neat surprise for him. Folks really might find this interesting, but this is how we set those big beams that supported, we call it the cantilever. Obviously it's on beams, so it's not cantilevered, but this is how we did it, because we certainly didn't have the muscle and manpower, and those rocks were pretty darn hard to set up any sort of scaffolding on. First we just had to put the boom back on the excavator, because I had used it to make myself a little runway platform, and then we put Dad's spreader bar that he built at the end of that. Gotta be careful, because that's sticking out there a long ways, and stuff can get a little bit hairy. After lifting the beam off the trailer, we jiggled around a little bit until we got it centered nicely, and then carefully, slowly, I had to fold up the whole bucket, and when I did that I could actually stuff the end of the beam into the bucket teeth, and it gave me a lot more control that way.
You know, the excavator is definitely not a crane, but there were measures of flexibility that it had that maybe a regular boom crane might have struggled with. But I had to carefully back up into my little road area. It was the only way I could get close enough. Even as big as she is, it wasn't quite close enough. And then I could boom it out, and we had a pocket in the wall and a post that we had standing. Well, 2 posts that it sits on, really, but a post that we had standing, and I could just drop her into position. It worked pretty darn slick. Now, despite having to go all the way around the big ponderosa pine tree and dig an access road before we could do it, that was the easy one, and was the shorter of the 2, although the difference is just a handful of inches. The next one, I got to climb a giant rock sheet, hence moving the truck and trailer out of the way. And the excavator doesn't like being up there. It doesn't like operating. You know, it's old. It's very old, worn out, and it doesn't like operating on that very steep slope. It doesn't look like much from right here, but it's actually quite steep. And there was a measure of concern that, you know, the tracks don't really have any grip on flat sheets of rock. I was able to sort of jam the front idlers into a crevice, and that sort of held the machine in place. And then we just repeated the process, grabbing a beam and leveling it out, and very carefully spinning it around, dropping it into place. I got pretty good at it in the end. It's not recorded much of anywhere, but we've used it a lot. That's where all that plywood got up on top. It's where all of those floor joists got up on top. And then I don't know if I actually have the footage of setting the 2 giant larch beams, half round logs in place, but if that got recorded, I think it did. Yeah, you'll see it do that as well. Works slick.
Hey, and we're back. It is another beautiful morning here at the river house. We wrapped up as best we could, and Mom and Dad took off last night. My goal today is I got 2 posts to set under the floor to support that massive larch beam, because the main house beams just aren't quite close enough, and it's gonna carry an awful lot of weight, especially in the winter. So I'm gonna double post it down there. So we want to get that set. Danny might come and seal this wall behind me so that I can bury the French drain system, and then this afternoon Shay and I will take off for the farm and mill the last little bit of wood. We got the floor joists up over the pantry. So different in here now. So tremendously different. Very nice though. I'm pleased. Again, she's a monster, but I'm pleased. I stopped at the hardware store today and I picked up all the joist hangers we need. We're gonna joist hanger off that big larch beam. We want that natural edge in the great room. You know, I buy all my stuff locally at Studs Hardware. Joel and the crew down there, and the price of the local hardware store just is only a few dollars off the box stores, and you know, put your money where your mouth is, right? So they made me a great deal on 22 joist hangers. It was only like 28 bucks. I was expecting a lot more. But yeah, I think we're moving along. It's now time to get underneath the house, set up some lights, and start measuring out for those posts. I'm going to use 6x6 because it's what I have handy, though I don't really think I need that. I'm sure a 4x4 would be completely adequate. what I've done is I put concrete pads under those 2 points right there. There's a beam right down the middle between them, but we don't want to bow the floor. So down there we poured some pads, and that big larch is going to span across here to this point and span from this point over to there. And there's a sort of a balcony-like floor area that comes off of both of them. It's quite an adventure. So this is what I'm working with down here. And you can see that floor joist, sorry, what would you call this? Big ridge beam? Anyways, you can see it spans across the two. And I need to go up there. There's a hole. That's centered right there, and then there's a hole on the opposite side, and it's also centered over the top of these. And these are just 8-inch sono tubes. And what we did is I cleared it down to the bedrock, and then just bedded the sono tubes in large rocks so that concrete could flow out and get a good grip. But I didn't pin it or anything. There's just a straight static load. You know, all these other piers are drilled and pinned. I didn't bother with these. I can't even be down here without remembering all the times the excavator was sitting right here in the middle and drilling and blasting all this crap. It's kind of surreal. Okay, gonna make some crude measurements, find out what beams, throw them down the hole. We'll get this particular job done. All right, they're both in. I did not get a shingle under that one. And I know that's not a good deal, but I think it's going to be okay. Number one, it's down to just regular, literal dry bedrock. Two, there's a joint. The post came loose when I was tapping it in, the concrete did. Remember, these aren't pinned to the rocks like the others. So that came loose, so it was wobbling slightly, although it's not wobbling now. And I just hope it won't transmit a whole lot of moisture, but it's entirely possible that 10 years from now I'll have to go back and deal with that. But they're in, they're level, they're in the right spots, and we should be good to go. All that snow load will be now shared. These are the two hard points coming from upstairs, and of course this is the main floor joist beam. So they should be okay. I don't know enough about it to be convinced it's not, so we're gonna call it good. Well, here we are at the end. It's not necessarily the end of a long day, but the end of a day, and we are coming up alongside the house. And this is, of course, we call it the bump out or the cantilever, even though it's not cantilevered. But we stacked big rubble and then crushed rock to put over the drain system here. And then I stacked big rubble and started putting crushed rock in on this drain system right here. And then right up there, Shay's surprise. We are putting a trap door in the floor of his closet. It's going to come down here. And we haven't decided if it's going to come down here to a slide or come down here to a climbing rope.
A ladder.
Or come down to a ladder. Or possibly a combination of several. So leave your opinion in the comments below whether you think it should be a ladder, a slide. The slide would go down and end over there on that bit of concrete we poured. But yeah, he's gonna have his own hidden little rock grotto down in here. What kid could resist a secret entrance, right? A secret room. Mm-hmm. And in a practical sense, it is an unblockable fire escape out of that bedroom. throw open the trap door, you crawl across the floor where the smoke's not, and you are out. You do not have to cross through the rest of the house, although there will be a people exit on the other side to a balcony, to a deck, right? And I suppose you could shinny down the deck, but this will also serve a practical purpose. But it was configured as a childhood dream. And with that, I'm done. I feel like utter garbage. I have not felt good since I was sick last November, and it's acting up again today. So head's pounding, body's weak, and we're done. We're leaving. We're gonna go to Kalispell, and in the morning cut that big beam in the last few joists, and we'll be back. We'll be back to put that big beam up. What do you think, Buster?
Yay.
Thanks for watching.